Hi, this is Amanda from Ghosts of Oz Radio, and tonight I'm chatting to Christopher St. Booth, one half of the fabulous Booth brothers from Spook TV. These guys have been in the film industry in one form or another for a very long time, and with quite a few films under their belts, 8 paranormal documentaries and some fantastic musical compositions, they have had a massive impact on the paranormal community. So welcome and thank you, Christopher, for taking the time out to chat with me this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries. So basically, can you tell us a little bit about your foray into the paranormal world? Obviously, you guys, as I said, have been involved in the film industry for a long time. So did you just wake up one day and decide that this was the direction you guys were going to go in, or had it sort of been building up over time due to sort of paranormal experiences that you guys had had?
Well, we've always been doing entertainment. I mean, from a wee height. I mean, I think we started when we were very young when we got influenced by the Beatles. We started in the music business, but we started in rock and roll bands to start touring in England and through Canada when we were 13. So, I mean, we started, obviously being in the entertainment business at a very early age, and then that obviously landed us to playing and touring through America. And then after that, when things were not, financially, things were a little rough, we started dabbing into the film business. Mm-hmm. And I think we started just being PAs or people in art department, just picking up roles on films. And then one thing led to another, and we started doing budgets for films and started saying, well, we can do our own films. And eventually, ended up doing our own horror movies. And then, of course, while we were shooting our horror movies for Sony Pictures, Death Tunnel, it was being filmed in a very haunted place, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky, in the United States, and it was a very creepy place. I mean, it was just like finding Dracula's castle in the middle of the desert. That creepy when it came up. It was insane, It was 60,000 people had died through this building of tuberculosis through the early 1900s, and here we are, a Hollywood film crew now going to film a horror movie here. Yay! Bringing in our little Los Angeles actresses in there and putting them in there and having them do their thing. And then one thing we didn't really take into account for is that it was really haunted.
Yeah.
So there we are filming now in this horror movie in this really haunted place, and all this stuff started to happen. So that's when I said, well, we need to get another film crew filming us filming, because this is crazy what's going on. So we put in another film crew to do a documentary at the same time we were making the movie, and the documentary turned out to be Spooked, The Ghost of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which Sci-Fi Channel, which is a TV network cable network down here in the United States, did really well, and there's like 4 million people viewed that, and it became very big. And then they offered us to do, 7 more shows, and that's how we started getting into paranormal. But really, it happened because we saw the paranormal and we felt it, and we were very overwhelmed and very fascinated, and wanted to show respect to it too, because it was a very tender subject that we were covering, which was people dying of diseases, and we weren't there to make them look like zombies and crazy people. We wanted to find out what really happened, so we did a lot of research and just did the right thing and made that, and that's where we got into the paranormal.
It's one place I would absolutely love to be able to go and visit in America is Waverly Hills, because it's just the history there is incredible.
Yes, it is. I'm actually in that area right now because we're working on a reality show and some other stuff, and actually that place is 2 miles from me right now. So
just a little side
trip. I drive by every time I go get a beer, so there it is, standing up in the middle of nowhere. So
great. I mean, and I really love, and I've seen quite a few of your shows, and I really love the compassion that you guys do show in your documentaries. You're not just telling a story, but you're telling us about the people that these spirits once were. We actually get to know the person before we know the ghost. Why did you decide to sort of tell these stories as opposed, I suppose, to doing your normal, typical paranormal show about ghost hunting?
Oh, I know. It's very formulated, very cookie cutter now. It's what's going on with these ghost shows. It's like, okay, 5 minutes now, turn the green night vision on. Okay, turn that off. Somebody pretend to get a code spot now. Okay, yeah. Well, somebody want to see this, but they don't have the camera rolling. Okay, it's all very, very predictable and contrived. And of course, there's been a lot of shows that's filmed in some incredible locations, and not once did they touch the serious history that happened in those places,
Yeah.
and just filming the exteriors and the interiors of the buildings alone without focusing on, the ghost hunters roaming around in the dark, actually focusing just on the place and on the spirits in the place.
Yeah.
And it's important. We don't really care if it's haunted. We want to know why it's haunted.
Yeah. I mean, each of these locations, for want of a better word, has a soul. You know, these spirits are the soul of these buildings. Like you said, you really need to sort of touch on that part of it as well. I mean, is there a location that's probably tugged at your heartstrings the most out of all the ones that you've done so far?
Well, Waverly Hills was what got us into it, and I always remember what happened when Philip went through it, who's my twin brother and partner and the director of a lot of the stuff we do. But we all had experiences, all the crew did, even the actresses that were in the film we made saw it. Everybody was freaking out. It was not just, and it wasn't like a psyche where we all get together and all jump because we're all triggering each other's psyches. It wasn't that way. We all saw it at different times. I mean, when I was left in the death tunnel, which is the body chute in Waverly Sanatorium, I witnessed, something very oppressive and very tragic that made me very sick and felt like I needed to get out of there. It was very claustrophobic, very oppressive, like feeling I just needed to get out. Yep. And then I started taking pictures as I was doing it. And then, of course, when I got back to Los Angeles, the pictures I had gotten was of a little girl standing in front of me that had no eyes.
Oh, God.
And that was the first time that it really, at that point, I was just so into it. I needed to find everything about it because I felt that they granted us an audience, They actually were nice enough to show themselves. They don't do it all the time with everybody. And that's really where the ball started rolling. But we cared about who was this person and why did they want to, what are they trying to say? We need to know because they're trying to show themselves for a reason. It wasn't to spook us out. It was to get a story that was untold that needed to be told, whether it was the nurse that jumped off the roof who hung herself, or this person that did this, or a person that got murdered, whatever. They needed to tell something that there was unfinished business, and that's really important.
I think so too, and I mean, obviously, it's some of these places could be quite emotional. Do you find that you get too involved in the emotion? I mean, you being a father yourself, did you find it hard doing, Children of the Grave 1 and 2 because it's all about the orphans and these kids that haven't had their stories told? Do you find you get too involved in that, or do you think you need to be?
Well, Philip has a daughter who's 22, I think now, and so he was very, very savvy with children. Me, the rock star, the single man at that, and it was just after now is like, I'm never having a baby. I'm not going to do that life. I got married. I finally decided to have my first son, who's 5 now. He's only 5. When I had him, my whole world changed. So I became very full of emotion, and I guess my sensitivity really opened up to that I was ready for that next step, and it was just fascinating for me. It's just to watch this little thing walk around and cry and be part of you. It was so beautiful. But what I realized is that when your baby cries, you do everything you can to help it to stop crying. You hold it, you drive around the block, you go to Walmart, whatever.
Exactly.
You talk, you sing, you make jokes, you act like a goober, just anything to make him laugh, to stop him from crying. That's all your goal is.
Yeah.
When you work with spirit children, and we had gotten EVPs of crying babies, in Children of the Grave 1 especially, I didn't know what to do. We didn't know how could we couldn't hold them, we couldn't calm them. We tried to talk and put out the good energy, like, because they don't know. You're taking young in life, they're not even taught. A lot of them don't even know what death is unless, they're taught pretty soon. They don't know what it is. So now they're going to be really in limbo because they don't know what happened to them. They don't know where to go, where to run, or how to escape. All they know is they were here today and gone tomorrow. Somewhat similar to a soldier, but a soldier does know what death is, but at the same time he might not know that he got killed in a war, so he's still there, or even possibly a murder where they didn't die right away. They just remember and play that over and over, the recurring nightmare of being murdered, and sort of like a residual haunting, you know. But with the children thing, it was really difficult because we had got some crazy EVPs. One of them was that was not put in the show, was Mommy, why is Daddy doing this to me?
Oh my God.
And when we got that home, we had to pack up right away and go back to that location and fly back from LA to Illinois, actually what it was in the United States, and go there and see. We can't live with this comment that was said. There's no children at all there's no children, you know, in any of our sets. The only child that, as it was in our show, was if there were actresses or actors, but they came in later when we did the reenactments, but was a psychic that she was 13 because her parents were psychics. But there was no young children on the set, and you're getting these EVPs like crying, like, you know, help me, or, you know, Daddy's why, Mommy, why is Daddy doing this to me? You know, you start really realizing, then you start finding out other stuff, then you even dig deeper into the research, which we're very much, you know, into is a research of the location and of the hauntings. You start to find out the story behind the story is far scarier than the story you're after.
Exactly. I mean, you guys obviously do a lot of research on these places. Like, where do you find the stuff that's not written down, or do you kind of find that once you start, the universe just basically starts bringing all this information out for you?
I think so. That's the case. That's how it's happened with The Haunted Boy, the secret diary of the Exorcist. We did that story about the real Exorcist case, but we were shooting part of that when we did a film called The Possessed, which is about the first documented reincarnation or possession ever in 1877 in Waseca, Illinois. That's actually the most it was actually documented by the spiritual research magazines that were very spirituality was really big back in 1877. Everybody was like, you know, everybody is a ghost hunter. Well, back then everybody was a spiritualist.
Spiritualist, yeah.
Very much into seances and doing it, and you know, with the dark glasses and the creep. I mean, it really is real. That whole creep factor and that whole thing that happened back, you know, in the 18th century, very much into it. So they very much believed in it. So we had done a story on that. At the same time, we were doing, because it's about possession, we wanted to put a little bit about The Exorcist. But when we started on The Exorcist, stuff started unfolding. Like we got a copy of the real diary of The Exorcist, and that unfolded. And then we found out where the graves were, and we found out where the real boy was. It's not a girl in The Exorcist; it's really a boy. So we found out where he is. We talked to the real family, and it just like everything started unfolding. It's like Children of the Grave, where, you know, the zombie road, that just unfolded, and that unfolded to the next thing. It's like it was laying a path for us to go. It was like we weren't trying to swim up current, trying to do those. They were just down. We were just going with the river because it was flowing. Things were just coming into place without us even asking or doing any more digging. They just sort of unearthed themselves. So
yeah. Do you find that your passion is more for the paranormal or more for the horror movies? Because you obviously do both of them. Is there one that you enjoy more, or are they pretty even, really?
I think our passion is with emotion.
Yep.
I think our passion is with the underdog telling really good stories, whether it's even in a horror movie. Our horror movies have depth in them. We don't make slasher movies. We make more like Hitchcockian, David Lynchy, you know, Hammer film, the old Hammer films. They're very Dr. Phibes, you know. They're very more deeper than just, you know, cutting somebody in pieces and then running around. I never really got into that. I always felt if you wanted to watch that, you could watch the news. Because the news is far more serial killer orientated than ever now. But I really think our passion is telling a good story and having people think about the movie at the end of them watching it.
That's it. I mean, personally, I think there's far too many slasher movies around these days, and people, I think, become a bit desensitized to what they're seeing, so you've kind of got to put more and more and more in there to give them the shock value, whereas if they'd actually concentrate on the story, you wouldn't have to.
Well, I know it's proven because, like, say, on AOL, America Online here, that on the internet, they don't have a problem just writing the word graphic now and showing you the pictures of a murder scene with people spliced up, and they don't have a problem with it now. It used to be like, oh, you can't see this and you can't do this, but because of all these slasher movies, and I noticed when you're looking at the real pictures of this chap, whatever happened to him, slashed by his girlfriend, throat slit, whatever, you've seen that last night in Hostel or one of these movies, so it's like, oh, well, yeah, whatever, now you can't tell the difference between reality and the movies because it's just all blood and gore, and now you've desensitized to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a dangerous situation, especially for serial killers or people that are not very well, and they want to get famous and they want to do this, and they see what's happening in these movies and they copycat them.
That's it. You're mentioning Hitchcock before. Is he one of your inspirations when it comes to sort of filmmaking?
Oh, definitely. That and Ridley Scott. Gladiator is probably one of our favorite films, I think.
Yeah.
I love District 9, which I think that was shot in South Africa, actually. But I love all those kinds of films, just the very epic ones. A lot of epic movies obviously shot down where you're at because of, obviously locations, but just very, very, very cinematic works of art. I think it's important that you passion in everything you do, and even when we do our television stuff, we create films out of this television stuff. We try not to. Yeah, it has reality stuff in it, of course, and it does it, and has maybe the ups and downs that you need, but basically we love the cinematic value to anything that we do, whether it's the music, because I do the music as well, so, the score alone is just... Sometimes we actually write the score before we edit, so even a documentary is cut to the score, so the dialogue is done like poetry. Yeah. So it's very realming like that.
I was going to ask you whether the music came first or the story, or whether it's different for each one, because sometimes a piece of music will just come, and then other times you might be filming something and go, oh my God, this music fits in perfectly with that,
I think because our frame of mind is always in that as artists. If I was to sit down and write a song, you probably end up finding that song will work in any film part that we do anyway, because I think we're always tuned into depth of what we do. So there's a way of an adaptation. I know there's a fast song suits a fast mood, and a Nine Inch Nails type groove suits that, and a full orchestra or voice choir suits that. So I understand that part, but as far as the depth of the composing, we're in a dark place pretty much all the time. But a dark place that has light at the end of the tunnel, though. Yeah. It always has it's not like all dark and I'm depressed and I want to commit suicide now. Like, oh my God. It's not like it's like you go through those dark times to be able to, oh my God, I'm in love again, You can't write a love song without being completely miserable.
No. I always say you've got to have the dark to be able to have the light, You can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
No. You seem like quite a spiritual person. Do you think that the spiritual and the paranormal are two separate things, as in the paranormal should be more scientific, or do you think really they need each other or work well with each other?
Well, that's funny, because I hear people saying that they won't go off of any spiritual, sensitive psychics, because I'm sure there's a realm of a lot of people that maybe exaggerate a lot, but as I can see, a lot of the ghost hunters do that too. But the thing is that paranormal is anything that is not normal, that can't be explained by science. But then again, I don't know how science can explain spirits, because of what you're there for is spirits, which is spirituality, which is, the greatest spirit of them all is Jesus, obviously. He's the Holy Ghost. So it's like, you have to be spiritual. I think it's an incredible plus to be spiritual and then be a paranormal investigator, because then you're in touch. Like we just had the pleasure to see Dalai Lama yesterday. And we had gone to see Dalai Lama and to listen to him talk, and his energy alone that filled, 16,000 people were there. The energy alone, which is spirituality and spirits, that's the kind of spiritual energy we're talking about. When you imagine going into an investigation and you have that sort of positive spirituality, chances are the lost souls are going to connect even more so with you because they want a piece of that. You're the light they're looking for. You're the battery out of the recorder. It's not the flashlight they're looking to drain. It's you they're looking to drain. They're looking for your spirituality, and that way you can connect so much better than on the alternative. The other side is you're going in there and you provoke them and exploit them and say, okay, you stupid demon, come get me. And you're going like, the spirit's going like, you gotta be kidding, right?
Exactly, like, yeah, whatever.
I'm not dancing for you.
That's
you
right.
know, I like this person. He's cool. She's cool. You're a douche.
That's right, exactly.
Get out of my face.
I mean, I'm the same. I fully believe that, you know, if you want to connect with the spirit world, then why would you not use what tools the spirit world gives you, you know?
It's compassion and sensitivity. Somebody had told me once, I said, how do you know when you get a real ghost? He goes, well, you take a picture when you feel there's something around you, and you have an audio recorder, and then you've got and then you take it back. But the main thing is that you felt something. So why did you feel? So you felt something. So you took a picture, and then your picture had something on it. Then you had an audio recorder, and you listened back, and you had some kind of, you know, abnormal sound on it. And most of all, you felt it, and you were able to capture, because you felt it, you took a picture. Not because you just took a picture, you felt it, and then if you felt it, you really knew you had a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unusual to find that 90% of the best paranormal experiences that people have had haven't been captured on photos or videos or voice recorders. They've been felt. They've been personal experiences, and, you know, 90% of them are personal experiences, so...
Like chills, just alone. Like, you know, I always remember that when I sit and I'm trying to figure something out, and I'm looking at evidence, and suddenly I get chills, and I don't know why. Yeah. And now I've grown to know that, and I trust my intuition that we've got something, because why? Because I've just got chills thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's rocking the psyche, and the intuition is there for a reason. You just didn't get it to have like it removed because you don't need it. The intuition is there to tell you that you have an intuition that something is wrong or something is there that you can't actually know, but you know there's something there, and that's what it's for.
Yeah, exactly. And so, what can you tell us? What's coming up next for the Booth Brothers at all, or is that secret?
Well, some of it is, some of it isn't. Well, as you know, we've done a lot of films, and you can get those all at spooktv.com if anybody's looking to see our shows that hasn't seen them or want to see what we're doing. They're at www.spookedtv.com. What we're doing now is actually a new movie we've been working on for the network. They've asked us to do another film, kind of like a death tunnel, but it's a new one. I can't tell you what it's about, but it's true. It's based on true events of the 19th century. It's very creepy, very spooky stuff, and we're looking forward to film it in real places that this stuff happened in, and we also will be trying to do a documentary at the same time we do the film, kind of like we did with Death Tunnel and Spook. But we've been working on a film now for, the script had just been finished as of December, and we just started in pre-production, and we've been looking for locations. We nailed the locations down in very haunted locations at that. So we're we're taking our time. We actually were supposed to have it finished this year, but we asked the network, we really want to make a nice big budget out of this one and really make something that is really overwhelming, because we like to always do better than we've done before. So they actually said, no problem, then you give it to us next year then. And we said, that's great. So we have a little bit more pre-production time, because we're doing the wardrobe, and the wardrobe is very special, and the props and sets of that era of the turn of the century, the 19th century, of the subject matter of, you know, what it is really creepy. So we're looking forward, and we're building quite a masterpiece of a picture. So that's what we'll be working on that for probably another year now, as well as we're touring and we're doing a lot of shows in the United States.
Yeah, I know you've got a lot of Paracons coming up, and
exactly, which you can see that on my Facebook page.
Yep.
So.
Excellent. And all the fans want to know, of course, when are you coming to Australia?
Oh, well, we've been asked a few times by a couple of different Paracons, and we want to. Unfortunately, we have this film that we've contracted to now, and we've been wanting to do it for a while because we've done TV for 7 years. So we want to return back to film and make this. It's going to be scary, and it's going to be also very spiritually cool. It has a beautiful, incredible ending, but the art direction alone is just so twisted. And we're kind of liable to do that right now. So maybe next year sometime, maybe we can do that.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, I want to. I really would love to. I really would. I've always wanted to go.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Well, I'll let you get back onto what you need to do tonight.
Okay.
Just to recap, if anyone wants to catch up with Christopher or Philip St. Booth, you can find them on Facebook, and you can also check out their website, www.spookedtv.com. So thank you so much for having a chat with me tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, love. Bless you. Bye-bye.